got to talk about AOC and the Democrat Party some more today. It's kind of like a continuation of one of yesterday's videos where I was speaking about AOC, and Bernie Sanders. But I wanted to start with this. So a Yale presidential poll recently came out, and Kamala is their number one pick. AOC is right behind her. Pete Buttigieg, and then down at the bottom, the guy who wants it the most, the person that wants it the most out of this entire crew, probably. Maybe next to AOC at this point, because I feel like AOC really wants it now. But Gavin Newsom. And obviously, Gavin's not winning it. I mean, that's an easy defeat. All you got to do is just mention California, and he's royally effed with that one. So I think that's why he's now at the very bottom. Because at one point in time, if I remember correctly, Gavin Newsom was up here at the top. Everybody thought Gavin Newsom was going to be the next one in the Democrat Party. And yeah, that hasn't turned out very well. But AOC is on a tour around the country, holding some rallies. And here's a clip of one of the recent rallies she held. Check it out.
Donald Trump is a criminal who was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud, liable for sexual abuse. Of course he's lying and abusing and manipulating the stock market too. When he talks about rapists and criminals, he should look in the mirror.
Ooh, you got him there. You go, girl. Psych. Get out of here. There's something interesting about that rally, because just outside of that rally, you saw this kind of scene.
Bakersfield, California. Bernie Sanders and AOC right here. We got the bus dropping people off here. US VIP bus. So they're getting buses dropping these folks off.
Doesn't seem very organic to me, okay, if I do say so myself. So if that's what the Democrat Party has, I think they're going to have some trouble if you got to bus people into your rally in California, of all places. California. I can see if you had to do that in like a deep red state, right? But in California, you got to bus people in. Sheesh. That's bad. But I think the Democrat Party is planning on trying to prop up AOC. And I said this in yesterday's video. I've heard rumors that the plan is for AOC and a Bernie Sanders ticket. Will that play out? I don't know. Obviously, we have a long time until the election, and we really get into any and all of that, because obviously at one point in time, Gavin Newsom was the lead, and now he's completely fallen off a cliff. So we shall see. But even CNN is talking about AOC being next up.
It's Donald Trump. Well, what happens the next 4 years from now when a Democrat is in office? What happens when President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decides to use these same powers that the president has now expanded by simply just pretending not to pay attention to the rulings of the court?
President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Ooh, that sounds trash. That sounds like doom and gloom right there. But like I said, if that's the Democrat Party's plan, AOC is so far left that I think people even in the Democrat Party, like solidly in the Democrat Party, clearly not Republican, but solidly in the Democrat Party, she's so far left that I think she's going to turn off people that normally would have voted for a Democrat ticket. And not only that, she's so easy to beat, in my humble opinion. So easy. I agree 100% with what Michael Shermichael had to say.
AOC has returned yet again to be, at least right now, what appears to be the future of the Democratic Party. Julie, I don't know if you would disagree being a Democrat.
I agree with you, actually.
But from our vantage point as Republicans, we would love that, because I think most American voters, especially those who self-identify as independents, are probably to the center of the left or to the center of the right. They're not extremist progressives. And so if the Democratic Party want to go down that path, I think it's going to bode well for Republicans in terms of our electoral success.
All right.
Yep. I don't see an AOC beating anybody that we could possibly put up on a ticket. I don't see her beating anybody. Not a single person. Not one. You know, a JD Vance, Larry Elder ticket would absolutely destroy AOC and Bernie. Absolutely destroy. Obviously, JD Vance has shown us how good he is. Larry Elder, I mean, could you imagine Larry Elder debating AOC or Bernie Sanders? Talk about getting cooked. Boy, would he cook both of them. But also, you know, like I said, she's so far left that she's going to put off people in her own party. This is a woman who literally openly talks about the decline of America possibly being a good thing, or we deserve it. Check it out.
Also, you know, the other way I think you can think about it is that we are, you know, perhaps we are in the downfall of the broken way. This was not built to last. Inequity, injustice is not built to last. It lasts a long time. It could last hundreds of years, but ultimately it crumbles into this, you know, a small cohort of incompetent people that create damage. And from that, something new can spring. And so maybe something is declining right now, but maybe it deserves to decline. Also, you know,
maybe it deserves to decline, as there's an American flag right behind her. A giant one at that. Interesting. So, saying stuff like that will get you no votes, okay, at least from American patriots, like I feel most of America is. And so when Senator Kennedy said this, I 1000% agree. Operation Let Her Speak.
What do you think of the new leadership, Jasmine, AOC, and Bernie?
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. And our plan for dealing
you didn't
with her,
plan that out. We got to hurry.
Our plan for dealing with her is called Operation Let Her Speak.
What do you think of the new?
1000%. Operation Just Let Her Speak. She'll destroy herself. She will cook herself. And you know, some of you probably remember this, but you know, a while back I was talking about how I felt the Democrat Party was actually going to eventually make a return. And I was saying how eventually the Democrat Party is going to have to splinter off from the far left segment of the party, the AOC part of the party. You're going to have to splinter off from that. And you're going to have to come back closer to the center if you ever want to win again, especially after Trump succeeds over these next 4 years in what he's trying to accomplish. You're going to have to splinter from the far left. And even someone on the left now is saying the exact same thing. James Carville. Check it out.
So maybe we need to have a schism. Maybe you got plenty different, the Justice Party, the Working Families Party, the Socialist Party. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word Democratic in any title that you have, because most Democrats that I know that are running for office don't want you to be part of the deal. Yeah, they would sure they would be glad to take your votes. Who wouldn't? Everybody wants to get as many votes as they can. Maybe you come up with your own name. And by the way, nothing against, after the election, can sit down and do like is done in parliamentary governments or governments around the world. You sit down and you say, okay, we want to be part of a governing majority, and we have these things that we want you to do to bring us in, and we have negotiations, and we figure a way that we can live with different parties, different titles, but under the same general philosophical roof. As I've always said, been very clear, that most of the things that the faculty lounge or the identity left wants, 85% of them, I want to. We'd like to expand opportunity for people. We'd like to expand people that have health care. We'd like to do more to help young voters. We think that environmental problems are totally crushing that we face. We want solutions there. We think income inequality is a terrible thing, and we've got to do certain things to address it. Like, okay, we can raise taxes on incomes over $400,000 a year, raise the minimum wage. These are things that we can work on. I don't think we can work together on pronoun politics. I don't. I think that this election did not teach you how damaging that is. I don't think there's anything that I can tell you. And you say this guy is stuck in another century, not another decade, and he represents nothing to do with the future of our movement. I can accept that. You're not really going to hurt my feelings. So maybe we could have a kind of amicable split here, and we'll go to post in 2026, because you don't ever run. They never run against a Republican. Okay, all they do is run against other Democrats. I don't quite understand why you're so anxious to have the word Democrat in the description of what you do, but maybe we can have a amicable split here. And you go your way, and we go our way, and after the election, we come together and see how much common ground we can find.
I love how he tried to tiptoe around that entire situation, because I think deep down he understands that that's actually what has to happen. But because it has to happen, they're going to lose. They're going to lose a huge chunk of their party, which means us over here on the right-hand side of the political aisle, we're going to be over here cooking, right? We're going to be over here eating good, baby, because we're not going to be losing. One, nobody's going to vote for that party because they're going to see what Trump has actually accomplished over these next 4 years. But then two, when Democrats finally do start to get a chance, they're going to have to split up their party, and now they don't have enough votes to win. So they're going to have to do like a whole, it's going to be a while. And he understands that. And I think that's why he's trying to tiptoe around like, hey, we got to split, but let's just stay under the same roof. But we got to split, though. We got to split. It ain't going to work, James. It ain't going to work. You're going to have to pick a side. Either you with the far left or you're not. You're going to have to pick a side. You can't play the fence. They not going to let you play the fence. Man, oh man, is this going to be entertaining over the next 10 years to see how this all plays out. It genuinely is going to be very entertaining to watch all of this play out. Because like I said, they're going to have to split. There's no other way. That has to happen. If you allow AOC and the Bernie Sanders to run the Democrat Party, you're fucked. You're cooked. You're not winning. Nobody's going to paying 70% in taxes. Nobody's going to that. Nobody's going to socialist healthcare. We see how well that works in Canada. As a matter of fact, I might be dropping a YouTube short on a Canadian citizen talking about how terrible their healthcare is. Yes, it's free. And that's the problem. That's the problem. She apparently got diagnosed with something. I forgot the whole story. I have to watch the video again, but she went to the doctor for a reason like last year, and they told her that she needed to have some type of scan. And so the first appointment took her 6 months to get to. You know, she called, hey, I'm feeling a certain type of way. All right, come in 6 months. Cool. Came in 6 months. Doctor checked her out. Was like, well, you need a scan. And so that scan is a year from her doctor's visit. Yeah, absolutely crazy. A year, a whole year that she has to wait to get this scan that could potentially save her life. 365 days. When she already had to wait 6 months just to see the doctor the first time. And that's what AOC and Bernie Sanders wants to take us to? Absolutely the fuck not. Excuse my language, but nope. That's why they will lose. Well, one of the reasons why they will lose. There's many reasons, but that's one major reason. We already see how that works. We already see how California has been run straight into the ground. We don't want that. Okay. But anyway, like I said, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this. Thanks for tuning in as always. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.